Angeles, but also overall. He also condemned the violence and the vandalism that we've seen playing out in Los Angeles amid these protests and said it's not acceptable. What was your take on that speech?
It's amazing to me. First of all, this guy's the governor of a state, and it has got one of its most important cities burning on his watch, and he's out here launching a presidential campaign.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. Yesterday, Scott Jennings made a surprise video appearance on Newsnight with Abby Phillip. It was a surprise because this week, Scott Jennings has been on assignment in Israel. However, given the events of the past 24 hours, he's in a unique position to report on the recent Israeli attacks on Iran and their subsequent response. And just so there's no miscommunication here, we joined Scott Jennings for a spot from earlier last week with Caitlin Collins to discuss Gavin Newsom and the LA riots. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings make fools of the CNN hacks attempting to politicize and blame Donald Trump for not only the Middle East situation, but the LA riots as well. Let's go.
Ground in Israel after a pretty lengthy journey to get there, given the closed airspace in the region. And now, normally, you might see Scott Jennings at this table in the studio here, but he's actually on a planned trip to Israel, and he joins us from there. So, Scott, tell us what it has been like over the last, 24 hours or so, as both you've watched Israel carry out these strikes and now are experiencing the retaliation from Iran.
Well, first of all, it's good to hear your voice, my friend, and thanks for having me. It's about 4 in the morning here in Israel. You can see over my shoulder. This is the Sea of Galilee. I'm in the city of Tiberias. It's dawn here in Israel. And you opened the show by saying that there were missile attacks in northern Israel. You're right. As we were setting this up, we had air raid sirens here in Tiberias. We heard booms. I didn't see anything in the sky just a few minutes ago, but certainly heard the impacts of the missile strikes. A few hours ago, over my head, directly over my head in this hotel, over this balcony, I witnessed missiles coming in and also the interception of those missiles. And I was able to track them across the sky and watch the pieces fall out over some mountains and hillsides that are up here just on the other side of the road from my hotel. So what it's been like is nothing like I've ever experienced before. I mean, for most Americans, military things, terrorism things, things of this nature happen a long way away, and we watch them on our televisions. I was watching them from right underneath where it was happening, and you get a real sense of what the people of Israel live with on a daily basis. I've been traveling here for a week. Earlier this week, I was having a dinner with some people in Jerusalem. There was an air raid siren. There was a missile announcement. We all went down into a bomb shelter. We stayed there for a few minutes. We came back up afterwards. They live with this every day. Now, this war with Iran is an escalation, certainly, and this is a higher level, I think, of anxiety. But for Israelis, this is part of daily life, being surrounded by people who effectively want to annihilate your country.
I mean, do you get the sense that Israelis now are actually expressing that higher level of anxiety? Do you get the sense that they feel like this moment is very different from what they've experienced before?
Certainly. I mean, you get the feeling just talking to people here that, this is different than the normal day-to-day anxieties of rocket attacks that come in from the north, like from Hezbollah, or that come in from the Houthis in Yemen, although those certainly can lead to destruction and certainly serious injuries. But now we're at war. And you also sense resolve from the people that you talk to here. I mean, the position they're in, especially since October the 7th, they're living with terrorism in their own homes and their own neighborhoods. They're living with Iran that is shooting missiles over. They're living with Iran terror proxies that have the capability of shooting rockets into the country. So they're surrounded, and they see Iran and the leadership in Tehran as the head of the octopus. And so what I have sensed in my conversations with people here is that this confrontation is 20, 25 years in the making. There is real resolve to finish the fight, and that they're not going to live under this constant threat of being annihilated by Iran and its terror proxies anymore.
All right, Scott Jennings, please stay safe where you are. We'll see you when you're back here with us at the table.
We're going to get right to the next clip. I'm not going to say too much about what's happening between Israel and Iran. It just happened. I'm a little slow, so I'm still processing what's going on. And I want to provide you all with a thoughtful take, probably tomorrow. I mean, if you even care. But I will say this. Donald Trump has made it clear. He wants the killing to end. So do I. But Iran made the dumbest possible move they could have today. Talk about just inviting hellfire to your doorstep. They could have just done their thing and gone along with their gay little war, but then they thought it'd be a good idea to threaten the U.S. and its allies and said that they'd attack our military assets in the area if we intervened. Why would they do that? Why would you poke the bear that is Donald Trump and the U.S. military? So you can look tough? You think that was a good move, Iran? Trump can play the front nine, make a phone call, grab a bite at the turn, and by the time he's teeing off on 10, there won't be an Iran anymore. Maybe just choose your words a little more wisely next time. So if I were in your shoes, I would not watch what I'm about to show you because it's the worst person in the world, Gavin Newsom, giving a speech. But I cut it up to make it as concise as I could, and it gives context to what Scott's about to talk about. So I apologize in advance for your viewing pleasure, Gavin Newsom.
Senator Gavin Newsom.
What's happening right now is very different than anything we've seen before. On Saturday morning, when federal agents jumped out of an unmarked van near a Home Depot parking lot, they began grabbing people, a deliberate targeting of a heavily Latino suburb. A similar scene played out when a clothing company was raided downtown. In other actions, a U.S. citizen, 9 months pregnant, was arrested, a 4-year-old girl taken, families separated, friends quite literally disappearing. What then ensued was the use of tear gas, flashbang grenades, rubber bullets. Federal agents detaining people and undermining their due process rights. As the news spread throughout LA, anxiety for family and friends ramped up. Protests started again. By night, several dozen lawbreakers became violent and destructive. They vandalized property. They tried to assault police officers. Many of you have seen the video clips of cars burning on cable news. If you incite violence, I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account. That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated, full stop. We're seeing unmarked cars in school parking lots, kids afraid of attending their own graduation. Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners, day laborers, and seamstresses. That's just weakness masquerading as strength. Donald Trump's government isn't protecting our communities. They're traumatizing our communities. Just yesterday, we filed a legal challenge to Donald Trump's reckless deployment of American troops to a major American city. Today, we sought an emergency court order to stop the use of the American military to engage in law enforcement activities across Los Angeles. If some of us could be snatched off the streets without a warrant, based only on suspicion or skin color, then none of us are safe.
That is the challenge from a political messaging standpoint that Democrats have to reconcile here and find a way forward on.
Scott Jennings, you saw and heard Governor Newsom condemning what President Trump has been doing in office, not just in regards to Los Angeles, but also overall. He also condemned the violence and the vandalism that we've seen playing out in Los Angeles amid these protests and said it's not acceptable. What was your take on that speech?
It's amazing to me. First of all, this guy's the governor of a state, and it has got one of its most important cities burning on his watch, and he's out here launching a presidential campaign. I mean, there's no other way to listen to what happened and not conclude that he just launched his presidential campaign on top of this lawlessness that's going on in California. He governs a failed state. He sits atop of a failed state, and he sits, I guess, at the leadership right now of a political party that's wanting to coddle the illegal invasion of our country that's causing what's happening. It's not particularly controversial for Donald Trump to enforce federal law, our immigration laws, and yet to Democrats and to Gavin Newsom, it's an affront to them for the President of the United States to enforce federal law. I mean, he went down a litany of things that have nothing to do with what's happening in California. All that's happening in California is that a bunch of foreign nationals have occupied large swaths of the United States. One city is burning, and the President of the United States is trying to bring order. That's all that's happening. And we get this litany of complaints from Gavin Newsom about everything, about how much the Democrats in California have failed. I don't think it's going to resonate with the American people. I think it's going to look opportunistic, and people are going to wonder why in the world is the governor of California complaining about Harvard when one of his cities is on fire?
But Kate, I mean, the criticism, well, a lot of those protesters have been peaceful, I should note, as we're watching what's happening in LA. Scott, just to put a point on what you said there. But Kate, what we had heard from Democrats here in Washington earlier, like Senator John Fetterman saying the Democrats needed to have a stronger response. They needed to condemn the violence, what was happening. I mean, the governor did that there, and also was heavily critical of the immigration efforts by the Trump administration, saying that Trump is going far beyond what they promised on the campaign trail to go.
I didn't just leave in Caitlin Collins' last few comments there to torture you or double torture you with Gavin Newsom, but to point something out. Whether I like Caitlin Collins or not, she just can't be very good at her job. CNN tracks Donald Trump's every word like it's gospel, yet somehow she doesn't know or pretends to not know that mass deportations were a core promise of Trump's 2024 campaign. He said it repeatedly at rally after rally, and his supporters understood exactly what he meant. That promise was a major reason that he got elected. And yes, when ICE started the deportations, they said they'd prioritize deporting criminal illegal aliens. But that doesn't somehow erase the broader pledge or change what voters expected. I just bring this up because it's a perfect example of how CNN and Caitlin Collins are trying to rewrite history in real time. And they're counting on us not to notice. I don't think I need to tell any of you this, but I'll end with this. Donald Trump had both the constitutional authority and the moral obligation to send in federal forces to restore order where local leadership failed in Los Angeles. The Insurrection Act gives the president power to act when states can't or won't protect their own people. Donald Trump didn't just have the right, he had the duty. And the left calls this controversial. When Democrat-run cities refuse to let police do their jobs and governors like Newsom stand back while violence spreads, Trump's the only adult in the room. While Gavin Newsom just sits there and whines about immigration, Trump's been trying to stop the bleeding, literally and figuratively. California under Newsom has become a case study in failure. Rising homelessness, open-air drug use, out-of-control crime, and now more violent riots. That's not governance. It's abandonment. And Trump stepping in wasn't tyranny. It's leadership. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I just thought you'd want to see it because it's cool to see Scott Jennings overseas, and it just so happened to coincide with a really big story. But here's something I didn't get to, and I'd love for you to sound off in the comments. Assuming there aren't any attacks on U.S. assets, what are you guys' thoughts for the U.S. moving forward? Do we stay out of it, America First style? Do we intervene, or is there some kind of hybrid? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. 20K subs is the goal for the channel for the month. I'm falling way behind, so any support you can offer is greatly appreciated. But I just want to say, and I'm doing this on the fly here, I would have had names. I probably wouldn't want to name everybody because I wouldn't want to miss anyone. But I just want you all to know how humbled and overwhelmed I am by the support and the encouragement for the channel. You don't have to take time out of your day to encourage me. I mean, I really hope you all know how much those comments mean to me. They keep me going. They keep me fired up. Otherwise, as always, thank you for taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. Obviously, based on my little monologue there, you know how important it is to me. Never forget Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.